Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Electrochemistry Part 5. Here in this Part 5, we are discussing about applications of EMF measurements. As far as the syllabus is concerned, we have to discuss about determination of pH of an unknown solution by using quinhydrone electrode, and determination of pH of an unknown solution by glass electrode, and potentiometric titrations. In that we have to discuss about potentiometric acid base titrations and potentiometric redox titration. Now, first application, determination of pH of an unknown solution by using quinhydrone electrode. While discussing about redox electrodes there in reference electrodes, we have discussed in detail about this quinhydrone electrode. Quinhydrone is an organic bioorganic compound wherein which in solution it gives you an equimolar proportion of quinone and hydroquinone, both oxidized and reduced state. That's why this is referred to as a redox electrode. So by using this quinhydrone electrode, we can determine the pH of an unknown solution. For that, we have to construct a cell there. For the construction of the cell, the solution whose pH is to be determined is taken in a beaker. To this, a small quantity of sparingly soluble quinhydrone powder, about 1 gram per 100 ml of water that we take, is added and stirred well to ensure saturation. A platinum wire of bright platinum foil is suspended in the solution. This constitutes a half cell. This is connected through salt bridge to the reference calomel electrode. The cell isoform can be represented as Hg bar Hg2Cl2, KCl saturated solution. This is calomel electrode, a salt bridge. At the cathode, we have unknown solution. Into that unknown solution, we are adding quinhydrone powder. That's how it gives you an equimolar proportions of quinone and hydroquinone, which can be represented as Q, QH2 bar platinum. So that's how we have constructed a cell by using calomel electrode at anode and quinhydrone electrode at cathode. So what is the theoretical part of this experiment here? Quinhydrone is an equimolar compound of quinone and hydroquinone. Hence, in the hydroquinone, activity of H2Q by activity of Q, that is activity of hydroquinone to activity of quinone, the ratio is always equal to 1, and it is sparingly soluble compound. In the above cell, oxidation occurs at calomel electrode and reduction takes place at quinhydrone electrode. So because calomel electrode we are taking at anode there, directly we can go for the reduction, that is at cathode quinhydrone electrode has been taken place. So what is happening there? It is quinone plus 2H plus 2 electrons giving rise to H2Q. That is the reduction reaction that has been taken place at cathode. The single electrode potential of this half cell is given by E reduction is equals to E0 reduction minus 2.03 RT by 2F into log of activity of H2Q by activity of Q into activity of H plus square. E ret is equals to E0 ret minus 2.03 RT by 2F into log of activity of H2Q by activity of Q minus 2.03 RT by 2F into log of 1 over activity of H plus square. But activity of H2Q by activity of Q is equals to 1. Therefore, the equation reduced to form E ret is equals to E0 ret minus 2.03 RT by 2F into log of 1 by activity of H plus square is equals to, that can be reduced to the form E ret is equals to 2.03 RT by F into log of activity of H plus, because that minus sign and denominator activity of H plus signs are there. When it goes to the numerator, that minus becomes plus there. That's how the equation reduced the form E ret plus 2.03 RT by F into log of AH plus. And by definition, we are knowing that pH is negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. Therefore, that equation can be simplified in the form of E ret is equals to E0 ret minus 2.303 RT by F into pH. And we know that at 25 degrees centigrade, E0 red standard reduction potential of quinhydrone electrode is 0.6994 volts. And also we are knowing that the simplification of this value 2.303 RT by F, it comes out to be 0.0591. When you substitute R value as 8.314 joules and T is 298 degree Kelvin and F is 96,485 coulombs there. When you substitute these things there, we simplify it as 0.0591. Substituting this in the above equation, we get that E red is equal to 0.6994 minus 0.0591 into pH. This is taking place at cathode, where quinhydrone electrode is there. And anyhow, at anode, we have calomel electrode, and the equation is oxidation there, therefore electrons can be released there. So we can write the equation as 2Hg liquid plus 2Cl minus, giving rise to Hg2Cl2 solid plus 2 electrons. So this is oxidation. At reduction, quinhydrone electrode, reduction takes place, 2 electrons have been accepted there. So EMF of calomel electrode for the reduction process, we rated at 25 degrees centigrade is plus 0.2422 volts. Since here calomel is anode, oxidation, then we write it as E oxidation is equals to minus 0.2422 volt. Now EMF of the cell is EMF of the anode plus EMF of the cathode. When you substitute that, EMF E oxidation plus E reduction, that is anode and cathode. When you substitute those values there, is equals to E oxidation is minus 0.2422 volts plus E reduction is 0.6994 minus 0.0591 into pH. Therefore, we can reduce the equation to the equation for a pH there. So pH is equals to 0.6994 minus 0.2422 minus E cell divided by 0.0591. Therefore, here you can directly determine the pH of the solution by just knowing the EMF of the cell. So what to do that? We have to connect these two electrodes, calomel electrode and reduction quinhydrone electrode, construct a cell there and determine the pH. So directly measure the EMF, substitute that EMF directly, the pH of the unknown solution can be calculated by using this formula. And some merits of this quinhydrone electrode is there over that simple hydrogen electrode, which cannot be used in the laboratory there. So basically it is very simple to construct, and reversible equilibrium is very easily attained here, and it is not bulky, that means it is not space occupying. A small quantity of solution is sufficient and air need not be excluded. In case of hydrogen electrode, we have to exclude the air, but here it need not. It can work even if solution contains arsenic, mercury and sulfur compounds in traces. That cannot do that in case of standard hydrogen electrode. It can also work in solutions containing metals like silver, gold and mercury. If the solutions are volatile also, we can use this quinhydrone electrode. It can also work in presence of some oxidizing and reducing agents. That is more advantageous in case of this quinhydrone electrode there. And some limitations are there with respect to this quinhydrone electrode. Here the quinhydrone electrode gives very good results in solution whose pH is less than 8, and it cannot be used in alkaline solutions above pH, that is 8.5 pH above. We can't use this quinhydrone electrode, and it does not give satisfactory result if solution contains proteins. Proteins basically they have more pH value there. In such cases you can't use this quinhydrone electrode. Next one is determination of pH by glass electrode. By using glass electrode also, it is possible for us to determine the pH of an unknown solution. It is also a very simple construction here. We are using glass electrode, and in reference electrode we are already considered about this construction of this glass electrode and how it is working. The same thing we are going to use it to construct a cell by using this glass electrode there. And the construction is very most commonly used pH indicating electrode, and it consists of a glass bulb with long neck and is made up of a special type of glass of relatively low melting point. A solution of 0.1N HCl saturated with quinhydrone or KCl plus acetic acid is filled in the bulb and a platinum wire is immersed into it to make the electrical contact, and this constitutes a half cell, and it is then placed into a solution whose pH is to be determined. A glass electrode can be represented as PT bar 0.1N HCl plus quinhydrone bar glass bar unknown solution of pH is equals to X. To determine the pH of the given solution, the above half cell is coupled with a reference electrode, that is a calomel electrode. The schematic arrangement of the cell may be represented as mercury, that is Hg bar Hg2Cl2 solid, KCl saturated solution. This is calomel electrode. A salt bridge, an unknown solution is there of which pH is to be determined, bar glass bar 0.1N HCl bar PT. That cathode is our glass electrode. Here it has been diagrammatically represented how we are going to construct a glass electrode there for the determination of pH. At the left hand side we have calomel electrode, at the right hand side we have glass electrode there. So we have taken a container wherein which an unknown solution has been taken. Into this unknown solution, this glass electrode has been dipped. At the right side, you can observe it there. So we make an electrical contact between the anode and cathode there. In between, we have potentiometer for the measurement of pH. Theory is also very simple here. If a glass membrane separates two solutions, a potential is developed across the membrane. The magnitude of the potential depends on the pH of the two solutions. If the pH of one solution, here it is inner solution of glass electrode, be kept constant, and pH of the other solution, here it is an unknown solution, varied, then the potential of the glass electrode is given by that equation. Eg is equals to E0G minus 2.03 RT by F into log of activity of H plus ions, and that can be reduced to the form Eg is equals to E0G plus 2.03 RT by F into minus of log AH plus. So for that minus sign in the above equation has been converted into plus sign, so that log AH plus has been written as minus log AH plus. That is the definition of a pH. That's how we can reduce that equation to Eg is equals to E0G plus 2.03 RT by F into pH, where E0G is standard potential for the particular glass. Therefore we know that E cell is equals to E anode plus E cathode, and E anode is minus 0.2422 volts at 25 degrees centigrade. Therefore, the equation can be written in the form of E cell is equals to minus 0.2422 plus E0G plus 0.0591 into pH. Therefore, we can write down the expression in terms of pH, that pH is equals to E cell plus 0.2422 minus E0G divided by 0.0591. Therefore, only the measured value is E cell only. E0G, by the standard tables we are getting the standard reduction electrode potential of the glass electrode by knowing the nature of the glass material. Therefore, E cell we are going to measure it and directly substitute it so that you can calculate pH of the unknown solution. So this glass electrode is having many merits there. The glass electrode can be used in any solution, and it cannot be affected by organic compounds, oxidizing agents or reducing agents. A small quantity of solution is sufficient for the determination of pH, and it can be used even in presence of metallic ions and poisons also. And it is very simple to operate. If the pH of the solution is greater than 10, then electrode of special glass is used there. And it is also having some limitations where the resistance of the glass membrane is very, very high, of the order of 10 to 100 million ohms. Hence, ordinary potentiometer cannot be used for measuring potentials of glass electrode. Therefore, electronic potentiometers are used here. And it cannot be used in pure alcohol or acetic acid and gelatin. And another limitation of this glass electrode is it cannot be used in strongly alkaline solution when the glass is attacked. So in such cases, electrode of special glass is used. So these are two important applications of EMF measurements. First one is determination of pH by quinhydrone electrode. next one is determination of pH by glass electrode. Another application of EMF measurements is our potentiometric titrations. So these potentiometric titrations are having more advantages over our traditional volumetric titrations which we are carrying out in inorganic chemistry. And in this potentiometric titrations are very accurate results, we are going to get it there. And here we are considering the concept of this EMF measurements for the measurement of the potential, where this potentiometric acid-base titrations and redox potentiometric acid-base titrations have been taken place. As far as the syllabus is concerned, in potentiometric titrations, we have to discuss about two types of potentiometric titrations. One is acid-base neutralization potentiometric titrations, and the second one is redox potentiometric titrations. So these are the applications of EMF measurements for studying and obtaining endpoint of titration with greater accuracy. Different types of titrations are carried out in presence of suitable electrodes, and variation of electrode potentials lead to the detection of endpoint of the reaction. So here we are discussing two types of potentiometric titrations. First one is acid-base neutralization titration, and the second one is oxidation reduction, that is redox titration. First one, acid-base titrations. In such titrations, the neutralization process is accompanied by change in concentration of H plus and OH minus ions. So in the acid solution is inserted a hydrogen electrode, and this is coupled with a reference electrode through salt bridge as shown below. You can see that representation: platinum Pt, H2 where pressure is 1 atmosphere, bar acid solution and a salt bridge, and you have a calomel electrode. So hydrogen electrode at the anode and calomel electrode at the cathode. So here calomel electrode is a reference electrode. Therefore E is equals to E half H2 bar H plus E reference. So we can write down the oxidation reaction as half H2 giving rise to H plus electron. For that you can write down the EMF of the single electrode potential as E is equals to E0 half H2 bar H plus minus 2.3 RT by F into log of concentration of H plus by concentration of hydrogen raised to power half plus E reference. But here E0 half H2 plus H plus is equals to 0 because it is standard hydrogen electrode. Its potential is 0 volts there. And concentration of hydrogen is also 1 because we have maintained at 1 atmospheric pressure. Therefore, E is equals to 2.3 RT by F into log of concentration of H plus ions plus E reference is equals to 2.3 RT by F into minus of log concentration of H plus ion. Therefore, that minus sign in the above equation has been reduced to plus. Therefore, in the bracket we have an expression for pH, that is minus log of activity of hydrogen ion concentration plus E reference. So, but for that minus log of concentration of H plus ions, you can write down pH. Therefore, the equation reduced the form E is equals to 2.3 RT by F into pH plus E reference. With successive addition of alkali to acid solution, the concentration of H plus ion will decrease. Hence, pH and EMF of the cell will progressively change. By measuring the EMF of the cell after each addition of alkali and plotting against volume of alkali added, the end point can be detected. This is the principle of acid-base potentiometric titration. It is observed in the titration of an acid such as HCl by a base like sodium hydroxide. So, in beaker you are taking HCl and you are placing hydrogen electrode and calomel electrode, and in burette you will be taking sodium hydroxide, and gradually you are going on adding alkali to the HCl so that neutralization process has been taken place. Therefore, on gradual addition, the pH, hence EMF, rises gradually at first, then more rapidly, and then when the end point is reached, there is very sharp increase in the pH. Hence, there is sharp increase in the EMF also for a very small addition of base. This helps the detection of end point. When excess alkali is added, the change in pH is again slow or the curve tapers off. You can refer to the first diagram there. Here, as alkali is going on adding from left to right, there you are observing that EMF gradually increases, then suddenly increases, then it tapers off there. A more sensitive method of determining the end point is plotting delta E by delta V against V values, where V is the volume of base added. So we are making a tabular column for each addition of volume of alkali. We are noting down the potential values there, E values. Therefore, the difference of those two will get delta E, and the difference of volume will get delta V. Therefore, for each addition you can calculate delta E by delta V values, and those values can be plotted against volume of alkali added. Then we are observing that here a peak we are going to get it, a single peak we are going to get it, where from that point draw a perpendicular into the volume of alkali added axis. There we are getting a volume of alkali needed for the neutralization of that amount of acid what we have been taken in the beaker. That is called as equivalence point. That's how we are easily getting a sharp end point by plotting the second graph, delta E by delta V versus volume of alkali added. And this potentiometric titration is having many advantageous points over our traditional volumetric analysis. If the solution is colored one, there you can't go for volumetric analysis, but here in the even the solution is colored one, we can use this potentiometric titrations, because we are not at all using any indicator here. And it is also advantageous employed in titrations of polybasic acids, where indicator method doesn't work there. And it is also useful in the titration of mixtures of weak acid and strong acids, where that volumetric analysis gives you an not accurate results there. And in the indicator method of titrations, it is necessary to have an idea of selecting suitable indicator, but in potentiometric method it is not at all required. So you can directly use this potentiometric titrations for any type of solution, so that is colored one or a non-colored one. In such cases you can use this potentiometric titrations. Second one is redox titrations. Here the nature of the reaction is oxidation and reduction. For that purpose, we are using a redox electrode like ferrous ferric. Fe2 plus Fe3 plus electrode we are going to construct, and we connect it to calomel electrode there, so that we are getting that cell which has been constructed for this, suitable for redox titrations. The redox titrations can be carried out potentiometrically in the similar manner as the acid-base titrations. As an illustration, let us consider the titration of an acidified ferrous sulfate solution with an oxidizing agent, say potassium dichromate. A known volume of ferrous sulfate solution is taken in a beaker and a platinum wire is inserted, and the potassium dichromate solution is added from the burette. During the titration, we have a mixture of Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus ions with a platinum wire in it, and this forms a reversible electrode. So we can represent that Fe2 plus Fe3 plus electrode, redox electrode, as Pt bar Fe2 plus, Fe3 plus, and it is coupled with a reference electrode, say calomel electrode, to form the cell. Therefore, the cell construction can be represented as calomel electrode, salt bridge, Fe2 plus, Fe3 plus bar Pt. Therefore, at anode calomel electrode is there, and at cathode we have iron Fe2 plus Fe3 plus electrode, that is redox electrode is there. Therefore, E cell is equals to E reference plus E Fe2 plus bar Fe3 plus. Equation Fe3 plus electron giving rise to Fe2 plus. This is the redox reaction or reduction reaction that has been taken place at the right hand side. Therefore, we are taking ferrous sulfate solution in the beaker, add 1 test tube full of sulfuric acid and connect with the calomel electrode, so that it becomes a cell there. So that what happens, ferrous is converting into ferric there, or ferric is converting into Fe. That means this there is an equilibrium between Fe3 plus and Fe2 plus. Therefore, equation we can represent as Fe3 plus plus electron giving rise to Fe2 plus. Therefore, we can write down EMF of the cell by using that Nernst equation as E is equals to E reference plus E Fe2 plus bar Fe3 plus minus 2.303 RT by F into log of activity of Fe3 plus bar activity of Fe2 plus. The progressive addition will cause a change in the EMF of the cell as the ratio of activity of Fe3 plus to activity of Fe2 plus increases till an equilibrium is attained. The concentration of Fe2 plus ions will be ultimately very small but not zero. if the EMF of the cell is plotted against titre values, that is volume of potassium dichromate added, the curve will show its greatest slope when the equivalence point is reached. From an observation of the greatest slope, that is sharp change in EMF, the end point of the reaction can be easily located. You can refer to the diagram there. It is easily seen that before the end point is reached, the potentials are governed by the titrated systems, that is Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus systems which are there in the beaker. But when end point is passed and excess of potassium dichromate solution is added, the potentials are mainly governed by the titrant system, that is Cr3 plus Cr2O7 2 minus systems. The sharpness of the EMF change will depend on the difference of the standard potentials of redox electrodes. If the standard potentials of the two systems are close enough, the end point will not be sharp. That's how, by plotting the graph there, we are observing that we are getting a peak there, a single peak. From that point, draw a perpendicular to the volume of potassium dichromate added axis, so that we will get the equivalence point, that is the volume of potassium dichromate required to convert that ferrous sulfate solution what you have taken in the beaker to ferric red. For that point you can get that equivalence point, and by using again normality equation N1V1 is equals to N2V2, you can calculate what is the volume of normality of ferrous sulfate or ferrous ammonium sulfate what you have taken it there. So that it is very easy to perform the experiment and easy to measure the readings and note it down and plot the graph of delta E by delta V versus volume of potassium dichromate. You can get easy end point there. So the end point is very sharp. That's why the results also very accurate results. We are going to get it by means of this potentiometric titrations. So these are another applications of potentiometric titrations, that is acid base neutralization titrations and redox titrations. Thank you.